Okay, let's talk about the design of World of Warcraft moving forward. Is it going to be bad or not? We would hope certainly not bad. Here's the guiding philosophies, right? Basically that they have a focus on evergreen features. This is what we need, because what was WoW doing? It was throwing shit in the bin all the time. So this is, it's good for what we want. Something for everybody. If you're a hardcore raider, PvP or collector, just with a ton of alts, they want you to have something to do, and they want to respect your time. All of that seems pretty good. Let's then move that into the actual features. Delves. So these are an outdoor pillar of end game content that you'll be able to do. What they basically are, right? So it is based on joining the Dragonscale expedition in their search for lost treasures across Khazalgar. You'll unravel mysteries and that kind of thing. It's an evergreen feature, a permanent addition to World of Warcraft, integrated into the outdoor world experience as a new pillar of the game alongside Dungeon Raid and PvP. They view this as being similar to when World Quests were added back in Legion, where this is like another step forward in what they're doing, providing an opportunity for seasonal content and rewards like cosmetics, mounts, titles, achievements, etc., and allows for an outdoor world row in the Great Vault. The gameplay, 10 to 15 minute long adventures for 1 to 5 players. These are solo if you want, they are group if you want, they are role agnostic. You will seamlessly enter them from the open world with no loading screen, and based on the lessons they have learned from Torghast and Soul Cinders, they're not going to be doing that kind of thing again. You got 13 delves available at launch to a variety of environments. There's a large treasure room at the end of each one full of treasure chests. Some of those will require keys to open. Resplendent chests will require special keys, which can be obtained from delves, outdoor gameplay, and weekly quests. And before the final treasure room can be opened, you need to either kill a boss or solve some puzzles, and they will have several difficulty tiers.
Yes, the important part of those keys specifically is that they're going to be the basically control valve for getting access to gear, in the same way that you get gear from, raids in a limited capacity. In the same way, at the moment you can't gear up by just spamming like world events and you only get weekly stuff. That'll be a pretty normal, natural way of, you can do these delves as much as you want, but if you bring keys, you get to get the big gear, and you can only do that so much each week. So yeah, you could literally, the point is you can play them. You can play these all day long if you want.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, so, overall pretty happy. You then have a seasonal companion. These were described to me in an interview as being, fairly smart as far as NPCs go, where, they're like, here is Bran Bronzebeard. We don't want him to be a big dumbass. So they'll help you out. You'll be able to have customizable talents, mechanics, abilities with him to pick and suit and complement your play style. So, again, for the single player experience, I think this is really good. Sort of thing the World of Warcraft needs, and this elevates it. I just think, I was going to talk about Duty Finder and stuff. I'm not going to bother doing that. So these will be seasonal. You'll get different characters as time goes on, and I do believe they have cool plans to kind of roll those characters back into the future.
Yep, because the ability of literally, here's Bran talking to you about some exposition as you go through, is very similar to the variant dungeons in FF14, where you go, well, I just get to hang out with someone and they tell me a story as we go.
But it seems like as a piece of content, it's fairly different.
Oh, yeah. I'm literally making one small connection of exposition.
I'm saying that because I've seen loads of people just they're just stolen variant dungeons. And
they stole the idea of an NPC walking with you and talking.
Never happened in a game before.
I believe that actually completely fresh. Yeah, which is good. It depends on how heavy they go on that. I'm actually really excited for the idea of a character having loads of dialogue and you just talk to them as you go through, because there you go, you get some character, some flavor with people. Depends on how hard they go with characters. I'd be disappointed if it was one per season and that's it. I would love it to be as of them. Is it literally one per season?
Yeah, and then there's a different character. Yeah, so one of the ways that they shake things up, change them up.
I would have liked that to be, but that's because there's so many characters in World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah,
that's the problem. I'm just can I have a delve with all of them, please? Can I just have a million of them
eventually?
Yeah.
Yes. No, we shall see. So, Razzle Time said, by the way, on Zal, those are Shathyar runes. So,
Yeah.
Bog, thank you for the super chat as well.
Yep. Cheers.
To go through what this will actually be like then, you casually journey across the Isle of Dorne. You come across a fogged entryway to a structure. You venture inside, seamlessly entering the delve from the outdoor world. You'll find a group of expedition scouts inside the entrance to the delve, joined by Bran for Season 1. They came to this place after hearing reports of great secrets, treasures, and powerful relics. However, they've been unable to proceed further into the vault because of unnatural, disturbing darkness. Fortunately, they have a relic in their possession, an enchanted candle that can light the way through. Think of the light mechanic from Vault of the Wardens in Legion, where it felt like some dark, scary place, but you had a beacon in the darkness. However, the light source has a limited fuel, so they dare not proceed on their own in case it was to run out and they would be trapped. You, however, can lead the expedition, being the champion you are, wielding the light source that will gradually get smaller as time goes on. So that seems pretty cool. On your journey, you'll come across a variety of kobolds, some of which may not look familiar, more jacked ones you've seen before. You can take candles from these kobolds to refuel your own light source. Come across some lieutenant-type bosses and some puzzles to solve at the end of a delve. You'll reach, your treasure room. Bran will be able to open things up. Manner of treasures, big and small. You'll be able to find and open the smaller ones right away with no further requirements. The much larger, resplendent ones do, need those special keys to obtain, which are obtainable from outdoor content, weekly quests, etc. And the distribution of these will basically be so to pace the rewards that you can get from delves to be on par with other types of in-game content. If you return to the same delve location a different day, you may encounter different events and enemies in between.
Variants, let's go. Yep. I love variation in my video games.
Heading back out to another corner of the zone, you may encounter this cave surrounded by mushrooms known as fungal folly in legends. Within this cave, you may find that the environment is very different than usual, where the rules of gravity change because of something strange on the wall. You may perhaps find a bunch of mushrooms scattered throughout the floor that can be used as jump paths to help you traverse the environment, skipping over enemies you don't want to engage in, and reaching higher ledges that you couldn't otherwise get to.
Hello, the Scarvolts.
Yeah,
that's
they're just playing around, having fun.
Yep.
Got a bunch of different locations for them. They are in the Great Vault. There's also seasonal rewards like this big customizable mount here. Sort of like a little flying ship mount. You can get, different engines, different wings, different front cones.
Drill, hang on, I'm sold.
And then some pretty neat cosmetics as well, with mushroom hats, candle hats, and sort of big fish hats.
Yeah, so Cesar, that's how your name is. This is probably since I play world content only. Why I'm excited.
Yeah.
You see, what they're doing with this is they've decided you are a player that they value now.
I've liquided too much.
You're a player that they value now. You're a player that they haven't valued anywhere near enough recently. And when they have tried to value you, they valued you in a way that's pretty, shallow. And haven't given you the respect that you would enjoy doing things for more than cosmetics, or that you would enjoy having a deep and involved process, I would say, with playing the game. So what they're kind of doing is, you and everyone who plays like you will finally have something to do. That is the point, at least, as to whether or not that pans out, and as far as it's done, but that's the point of delves, at least, which I think is pretty new, right? I talked about it in the regards of when they added Mythic Plus. That was like a whole new paradigm, right? That was a whole new paradigm of you can do this whole new thing. Is Michael He's literally posting from his phone. Sweet. Very good. He wants to dope mine. Oh, he's a reward-based player. Ugh, imagine not being an experience-based player. Awful. Horrible person. So it will be Brenda. Yeah, I mean, they said there'd be multiple difficulty tiers, and it's kind of the problem. Oh, it was you, Nicky? Okay, never mind. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, about it being like brain dead. That's because brain dead's a bad term. I know what you mean. There's this problem that's existed in the game basically since Warlords of Draenor put in the silver proving ground requirement to queue for heroic dungeons, and Turns out an awful lot of people playing World of Warcraft aren't good enough to finish Silver Proving Ground, and they have absolutely no intent to be that way. And if you look at something like the Mario series, that's completely fine, right? You're allowed to make video games that aren't hard but are still fun to play. It's the same thing with dragon riding. Dragon riding isn't exactly like fun, right? Dragon riding isn't hard, that's what I mean to say. But it's fun. It's just inherently satisfying. Same with the Scar Vaults. Scar Vaults aren't specifically hard. They're not like particularly challenging puzzle-wise. It's here's a room of fire. Click the thing that gives you the fire immunity and then go in. And that's not complicated, but it's fun to do. So depends on on what the difficulty tiers will feel like. But I imagine that they're not going to be in any capacity hard. I imagine any enemies will be very simple. Will be very simple. Have very simple mechanics that you can learn. And I imagine that you just will be able to like outgear it a little bit, especially when it comes to, you think of Torghast. You think of Torghast and the box of many things, whatever it was called, that has a when you have that, Torghast is a complete cakewalk. When you have that like maxed out, and that's kind of one of the problems of progression, where World of Warcraft has kind of made progression sometimes a little bit too easy at times. Like the Death of Crummy. Oh, yeah. The Death of Crummy is really fun until you get the rep maxed out, and then it's way too easy. So I imagine they'll do the same thing, where it'll be kind of difficult to blast through the higher difficulty to begin with, probably slightly. If you're good, you'll be able to, but then players will be able to actually just burn through progression and go, well, I'm doing this. I've got good gear for Bran and myself now, so we can go in and make it easy. That's what I'm assuming they would do. That's what I would do in their situation, which I think is kind of the ideal thing to do in a lot of cases when you don't have, because this isn't supposed to be for like people who want a challenge in World of Warcraft necessarily. They might do that with like a mythic difficulty or something, or heroic plus, or something not heroic plus. So you know what I mean. But if you want challenge, you can go do something else, I guess. Spoiler, everyone, you cannot do this content if it does not seem interesting. This is where you run into the problem of they spent the vast majority of their time talking about delves and warbands. They spent almost no time talking about dungeons and raids.
Yeah. And
why is that?
Because we're growing the World of Warcraft for once. There's new things to talk about. Can you imagine? You know all the fucking memes, right? All the shit people were saying back with the Avalorn leak. Everyone's like, my reaction to this WoW expansion is 4 zones and 8 dungeons. Because it was just like expected. And actually in so many BlizzCons, the dungeons and raids, they're like, yeah, we have them.
Yeah, so that's, I was leaning more into the second point there as opposed to the fact that this is new. Obviously this is new, so we're going to talk about it, but I was talking about what, like the Mad Bunny. Yes, also dungeons and raids are already good. They don't need to sell people on dungeons and raids because they're the things that people show up and play. Now, obviously the execution of how they design their dungeons and stuff, but that's all the minuscule execution. They don't need to dedicate 20 minutes to a panel to say, we have looked at feedback from dungeons and we're going to do better this time. Because that takes 10 seconds to say. The delves need explained because they're new.
Yeah.
But dungeons and raids are a standard point of the game. So they're going to focus. They're going to talk about that whenever they can show them to you and have people play them in alpha and beta. Basically. More or less. I mean, there's someone else said. Yes, Scott just said there's plenty of people who do want a challenge but just can't commit to a guild schedule. That's where there's a problem of
bingo. Horrific visions.
You need more content, and delves might be targeted towards some of those people with certain parts of like the harder difficulties. I'm not sure if that'll be the case, but them like it probably makes the most possible sense for them to turn around and say, this is for world content players who don't do anything hard because they want to relax and play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Because people who don't want to relax playing World of Warcraft, people who want to have a horrible time playing World of Warcraft, you can do that already.